Welcome back to Cross-Cultural Communications. I'm Professor Sean Watts. My contacts are available in the class outline, as you see here. And the class files that we're going to be using today are talking about just the general introduction to the nature of intercultural communication and the idea of universal systems. Of these two, which two images go together? Monkey, panda, and bananas.
I mean, it's obvious, like everyone probably is thinking that like monkey goes with the banana. That's always like been like that for a really long time, but it's in our heads that we always think like monkey goes with the banana.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But be careful. Our class is talking about cross-cultural communication. And if anybody says monkey, which is an animal, and the only other animal there, which is a panda bear, if they say they go together, you just said that's not obvious. It's obvious that it should be the monkey and the banana. So maybe you just insulted anybody that disagrees with you. Does anybody want to guess which countries may think the animals belong together, not as an item of food?
The Western countries.
Yes. Most European or North American countries, not all, but most of them usually say the animals, which are being, I be an animal, that's a thinking style, go together. And the Asian countries are less being focused and more doing focused. So they say that doing, eating, and banana go together. So it's not right, it's not wrong, it's just completely different. Same thing, this flower is also part of the video, and it shows this flower in the red circle. Which one does the flower go to? Does it go to group A or does it go to group B? This one I found really, really hard because they all look kind of similar, but they say in general with the research that this red circle flower goes mostly with A in Asian or Eastern countries, and it goes more with Western people say it goes with B. So let's take a short look at this to identify what they're talking about. Ethnocentrism, a quick quiz. We do have a quiz for you guys that we may give you sometime, but I want to make sure you guys are comfortable with the class, comfortable with the weekly projects, sharing information with your groups, sharing project ideas first, and then we will give you an overall quiz to understand how much you know. Anybody remember what is the definition of ethnocentrism or ethnocentric? Going once, going twice. Do I see a hand? Oh, Dr. Sean Watts has the hand up. That's me. Anybody else? Gwen?
Yeah, I can explain it. So the way I learned it, I actually learned it in a different communications class, but the way I was told, it's like judging someone else's culture based on like the definition of your culture. So if it doesn't fit into your culture and what you think is normal, then it's like weird or wrong, saying it like that.
Sure, that's a very advanced understanding of it. The simple understanding is everybody is born and you only know one way. You only know the way your mom says this is good, this is bad. If you do something bad, your mom spanks you. You know this is good. Anybody else that does something, you think maybe they're going to get a spank. They're bad. But as you grow, as you get educated, as you learn there are other mothers, there are other ways of doing things, there's other countries, and there's other cultures. You start to learn there is the Chinese culture, there is a Mongolian culture, there is an Argentinian culture. But you don't understand them, perhaps. And since you don't understand them, and maybe the mother there might say something differently, you think they're strange or not obvious, for example. And it's not bad, it's just you don't understand it. How many Chinese people do we have in our group? Are there any Chinese people in our group today? Anybody Chinese? I don't see anybody putting up your hands. No Chinese? Okay, so we can use that as an example. there are people from Mongolia, from Canada, from Germany, from many different countries. If you don't understand the Chinese way, would you say it's bad? Perhaps. Donald Trump definitely says it's bad. But why, if it's bad, is it being followed by more than 1 billion people? Obviously, if 1.4 billion people are doing it, it must make some type of sense. So you need to invest your time, invest your energy to learn it. So ethnocentrism is the idea that you know your culture and you know there are other cultures, but you don't understand them. So you think your culture is best. So you start parochial, then you become ethnocentric, and both are still bad. Adolf Hitler is ethnocentric. He thought German culture was good, kill everybody else because they're strange, they're bad. Obviously, you don't want to be like that. You need to get more education. You need to invest to learn why they do things a different way, and then try to communicate with their way. And ultimately, you become like a global citizen, a global communicator. The other thing that we were talking about is enculturation is different than acculturation. Enculturation is when you are learning about your own culture. Some of you may be learning about your culture now, and others may be focused on learning a different culture, and that's acculturation. So enculturation is learning your own culture. Acculturation is learning a new culture. So we've talked about those things. We understood that some people, I think somebody from Mexico was talking last class about, they read this, and we understood that if they don't understand you, they can try and help you and give you an answer, but it can be a completely different misunderstanding. So in this example, when somebody from Lima, Peru was asking for a head count of all people in the factory broken down by sex, urgently, send it to me. And the Peruvian said, we have 30 people in the factory, 15 in the office, 5 in the hospital on sick leave, but none of them are broken with sex. If you must know, our problem is alcohol. That is a polite answer, and it's a funny answer, but it's not what they were asking at all. Why is it funny? Why is it a joke? Why is it not the correct answer?
Because how they understood the concept is wrong. It's not what they were asking for him to do.
Well, in Peru, it was what they understood they were asking. You're right. But the American person was using words that have 2 meanings or 3 meanings or many meanings. And the person in Peru only understood one, the most popular meaning of sex. Are you a guy or a girl? Are you a gender? Or they understood the bigger, more popular meaning, the idea of a guy and a girl getting together, or 2 lovers getting together. I shouldn't say a guy and a girl getting together. Maybe there's a boy and a boy, or a girl and a girl. You know, the idea of intercourse, making babies. Nobody was broken because of sex. Their problem was alcohol. That's what they understood. So be careful how you communicate with other people. Try to test what is the meaning that other people are trying to check for. You could start by saying, from what I understand about your question, this is the answer. Is that what you were looking for? Before you go for a job interview and maybe say something wrong, especially if almost everybody is working online now. So communication and culture, they're combined. We need to communicate by understanding the culture. And the culture is not just language. It's not just international. It's groups of people. It's businesses. It's all over the place. Some countries, like United States, are a melting pot. They try to force everybody to melt into one type of culture. Korea might be like that. They're promoting just one culture, the Korean culture, similar to the United States. Canada is very different. Canada continues to promote any culture that comes to Canada. So I am Canadian, but I have a very hard time defining Canadian culture because it's a little bit of every country in the world. Maybe the only unique thing is we have maybe Santa Claus house and maybe more ice and snow, but Russians would argue with us. And if we say we have maple syrup, then the Americans and many other people would argue with us. Or we say we have hockey. I think that Canada did not win the Olympics with hockey. Other people did. So what is Canadian culture? I have no idea. Cottage country, big place with lots of space. Try to understand these differences. The next, the idea of globalization versus localization and globalization. Globalization, the worldwide diffusion of practices. That is going crazy now because of coronavirus. Everybody has to be online. Everybody is now able to see people from the other side of the world online. Everybody's interacting with Coca-Cola or with iPhones or IBM computers all the time. Localization is the interpenetration of the global and local. So you go to a different country or many different countries and you try to act like the people there. That's a very good thing to generally try to do, but it's very expensive. Places like Walmart, they will just get many things and sell the same thing in many places around the world. Globalization, different, focuses on the imperialistic ambitions of nations, corporations, organizations to try to push their view on others. Like Great Britain did when they went to India, they tried to make the Indian country follow Great Britain practices. Obviously, that's kind of bad. So there's many different dimensions of cultures. We're going to continue talking about these quite a lot. Is a stereotype good or is a stereotype bad? What about Maria? Do you think is a stereotype good or is it bad to stereotype people?
I don't know. I don't think it's either good or bad because it's just how we look at someone else based on our culture. But if we don't handle it well, maybe we could hurt someone else by saying something based on our stereotypes. For example, if you say, "Okay, I'm from Mexico, so hey, do you guys always wear like those big hats?" That's like a stereotype, and it's like it's okay, but it can be like hurtful, or I don't know if I'm making any sense.
You're making perfect sense. And actually what you said was respectful. It shouldn't hurt people's feelings in Mexico by asking them if you have a sombrero or if you wear a sombrero. They will probably say no, but they can answer that. So that's one thing. Does anybody else want to identify? Is a stereotype good or is a stereotype bad? When could it be good? And when could it be bad? Any guesses?
So I would like to say something to that. So I think as a guideline, it's all right to think in stereotypes, but you always need to focus on the person or the group of people which is in front of you and just ask them and just find out what they are and be really careful about what to assume should be or they should be like and what they actually are. So you have to differentiate that.
Absolutely. There's so much information in the world. Nobody can know everything. And you have to put things into groups to remember them. Otherwise, you're just going to forget. So when you get information about a certain group, like country, people from countries, you put them into a group and you call those stereotypes. But the problem is stereotypes are just for a full group. And it might be popular, but it doesn't mean it's for everyone. You have to check, is it still updated? Is it still correct? Is it still accurate? Or is it insulting? I'm going to guess that there's no other Canadians in our class. So can you guys give me, what is a stereotype of a Canadian? Who is a Canadian? What is a Canadian? What's a stereotype?
Maybe that they like hockey.
Okay, so Canadians like hockey, that's true. But don't people from Your country like hockey? Don't people from United States, Norway, Finland, Sweden, everybody almost
Can
like
I guess
hockey?
one, sir?
Yes.
Maybe you say A at the end of the sentence.
Have you heard me say A at the end of a sentence? That's a good stereotype, but have you heard me say that?
No, I haven't heard you say that.
Maybe it's because I've been living outside of the country for 25 years, but it's also related to a level of education. Yes, good. It is a stereotype. Any other stereotypes about Canada?
That Canadians are super nice.
They're nice. I am a difficult SOB professor. Watch what you're saying. Oh my God. Yes, a lot of people say they're like country boys. They're supposed to be friendly to everybody. They're not that materialistic. They're easy to get along with. That's what some people say. But I just say that because it's my culture and it makes me look good. I don't really know how to describe Canadians other than those things that you guys were saying that are kind of fun to talk about. When I first started going down from Canada to United States, a lot of people in United States, which have almost the exact same culture, they just assumed Canadians all live in igloos. And they assumed I had ice and snow around 24 hours a day, 365 days, every day of the year. I was surrounded by ice and snow with Santa Claus. Obviously, that's not true. We're almost the exact same as United States. So great, we understand these ideas. Stereotypes are helpful, but you need to test them. So examples. We have Japanese versus Americans, and what do the English, what's the view with English, Irish, Chinese, Mexicans? Can anybody add to this?
I can.
Great, go ahead.
That Mexico is a dangerous country.
I've been there many times. I thought it was great. I found more danger in the United States, but good. Thank you for adding that. It's a possible stereotype. A lot of people believe what you just said. You're right. Next, anybody else add anything?
I would add to English that they're drinkers. They are into alcohol, drinking alcohol.
English people drink. Okay.
I mean, that's the point of view that you get from my German perspective, because I live in Munich and there are like really, really many English people drinking at the Oktoberfest. And they're really wasted.
Isn't that the purpose of Oktoberfest?
Not only.
Okay, so we have to be very, very careful. That last example is a perfect example. Oktoberfest is a celebration of certain things, but around the world, they promote Oktoberfest as promoting the German beer drinking and the sausage and the food aspect, the food and drink. Would you like to correct more? What would you say is the purpose of Oktoberfest?
I think it's more about like getting together with your people, because in my opinion, it's sort of about the food and the beer as well. I mean, I'm young. I love to drink as well, and but I think we have in our like smaller cities and villages, we have all like the smaller Oktoberfest sort of. And there we drink as well, but it's more about meeting the people.
So what I hear is it's identical to what we have in Canada and United States. It's just Thanksgiving. And at Thanksgiving, we all get together and give thanks for family. We get thanks for having food. We get thanks for having good drink. And usually families get together and celebrate great big turkey, good meat, good food, good drink. Basically, it's a time for getting together. Yes, there's a lot of drinking. Yes, there's a lot of good food, but the purpose is family. However, when Canadians are promoting Thanksgiving, they're usually promoting the idea of pumpkin pie or turkeys. They're not usually talking that much about family, even though that's the main purpose. So Germans, it sounds with Oktoberfest, it's the same thing. When you're promoting or when I see promotions of Oktoberfest, if anybody goes to Google right now and just types in Oktoberfest, what are the images that are going to pop up? I would say most of them would be beer or ladies carrying many different beer to give to people. And so we have to be careful that if we're in that type of environment and we see people traveling to come visit us just for that, following the marketing purposes, those people traveling might not represent the regular English people. They could be just on a party tour, and no matter where they go for a party tour, they're going to drink more than they drink normally.
Can I add something to her argument about or some about the British? Because I come from Berlin, so we don't have really an Oktoberfest there, but we still have many like drunk British people. And the thing is, which is kind of it's not really secret that it is, since Germany has lower taxes and the British pound was so strong. Many British people came to us for a weekend, actually flown in from London to Berlin, and drink like 2 days straight and then go back. So that's like some kind of tourism which you really have, and you see it in Berlin. And just to make it, not, of course, not all like British people are alcoholics or drinkers, but the people, like many people you see who are British tourists, just come for a weekend and like drink a lot of alcohol in Germany because it's so cheap. That's like that's actually a thing which many people know in Berlin. That's
a perfect example of another thing to look at.
Yeah.
You have to be careful when you're trying to communicate with other people. You will have stereotypes, but you need to check the background. And so I was starting to say, check how it's doing the marketing, because Oktoberfest does market itself like Stella Artois and Heineken and sausage companies. They will do a lot of marketing promoting that on purpose to try to increase the sales. And they will have Oktoberfest parties in Vietnam, in Korea, in United States, all over the place, even though it's supposed to be associated mostly with Germany. So when people come for this festival, they're coming not trying to represent their full, natural, regular style of life. They're there for a party. And just as what you just said, because people work Monday to Friday and they want to relax and party on the weekend, when they're going to your area, that's where they might be drinking more than they do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So by identifying the British as serious drinkers, if you're only meeting people on a Saturday night or on a holiday where they're coming to have a party, that's not reflective of who they are. So it's great examples to learn for cross-cultural communications. Many Korean people, how many Korean people do we have in this class? Do you not, Song, Haun, do you not say that Koreans are maybe the world's most aggressive drinkers? Do you not hear that many Koreans say they drink the most, more than British?
I think so.
Have you ever heard people from the UK being serious drinkers?
I think Korean people are the most heavy drinker.
What about country number 2, country number 3, country number 4? What other countries drink?
Sorry.
What about you? Can you help guess?
I think English people is most alcohol, because I've been seeing a lot of English people drink beer while watching soccer. That I think.
Okay, I usually don't watch. I usually don't see anybody at watching a soccer game not drinking. but okay, it's interesting. I used to actually own a bar, and we had drinking contests, And the actual winner, people used to think would be some huge, maybe 10-foot tall, 1,000-kilogram American big football player. That's what we thought would win this drinking contest. But the actual winner was a very tiny, very high class, very sophisticated lady from Germany. She could drink faster and more than almost everybody else at that time. But that was just one time, and it's not representative of the culture, and it can help make a stereotype you have to check. So make sure you check those details. Irish, in my opinion, are famous for being the real drinkers. Japanese view Irish as being cold or patient or religious. Americans see Irish as drinkers, fun, jovial, hot-tempered, loud. Okay. Anybody from Germany? How would you define or describe Irish stereotypes? Or somebody from Korea, how do you find Irish stereotypes?
Maybe red hair.
Okay. Many Irish people have red hair. I am part Canadian, Irish Canadian, I guess, and my son does have red hair. My beard's not. Let's go on to the next. What are some cultural dimensions? So we started talking about these. We went through this for sure. We started talking about this. The video is in video 1. It's identifying, as I said, people in the East usually think about doing first. People in the West usually think more about being first. So these are both being animals. They go together. Animals don't really relate to food other than, yeah, they can eat it. But you could give a banana also to a panda. So in my opinion, the animals go together. It's not right. It's not wrong. It's just a different way of culture. Another one, this. If there is a balloon and suddenly the balloon accelerates into the air, what would you say and where are you from? Can anybody give a comment about that?
Yeah. I'm from Korea, and I believe maybe a child play with the balloon and she or he miss the balloon and the balloon fly.
Okay, so you were saying it's because somebody let go of the string or they cut the string. Okay. Anybody else? What do you think? Do you think the same thing or different?
Yeah. I'm from France, and I would think that the balloon is filled with helium, and so it flies up into the air.
Okay, so I should have explained a little bit more. In the video, it actually says that the balloon is there and it's not moving for quite a long time. But then all of a sudden, we don't know why, the balloon starts moving. Why?
Okay.
So there is a balloon, but then suddenly it changes and it accelerates into the air. Why?
So I would think there would just be some wind.
Okay, so you think it's because of the wind. Good. Yeah. And where are you from? The first person was from Korea, I believe. Where were you from?
I'm from France.
You're from France. Okay.
Yeah.
Can somebody from another country guess in?
I can. I'm from Germany.
Okay.
And I thought that I see a sort of a bench on the left side, and it might be tied to the bench, and somehow the string like broke, and then maybe some wind came and the balloon flies away.
So you think, again, it's because of the string. The first person said maybe a child let go of the string. You think the string broke or somebody cut the string, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. And you're from Germany. The first person that said it, you are from Korea. Was that right? And you said the same thing, a child let go of the string?
Yes, that's true.
Okay. Anybody else? Any other countries?
Yes.
Yeah. You can go ahead.
Oh, thanks. So I'm from Hungary, and I would think that there is a small hole on the balloon.
Okay, so naturally in Hungary, you think it's not what the research is showing is that some countries see it's because of one small detail, and other countries see it's because of the big environment. And so what I mean by that is some countries see a detail. It's either a small hole or because of the string problem. So you two that have been saying string or the hole problem, maybe you have similar thinking styles. Other people that say it's because of the wind and the environment are probably from a different country. It's not right, it's not wrong, it's just different. So I find that really, really interesting. And these videos have a lot of examples like that. That next video, sorry, the next part of the video shows these spacecrafts. You guys see these spacecrafts? Which one is ahead? The one on the top or the one on the bottom? Any guess?
Can I answer?
Sure.
I would say I would maybe view this like a negatively and said like the one in like the up one is ahead to be taken up or whatever. So I would say it like that.
Okay, so you are guessing the top one is ahead. And which country are you from?
Finland.
From Finland.
Yes.
Okay, great. Next student from another country?
I'm from Korea. It seems to me the top of UFO is ahead because it's moving forward at the speed of light.
Okay, that's interesting. Now that you are talking about that, I think that if you say moving forward, I think the one at the bottom is closest to me, so they were moving forward towards me. It's interesting how there's no right answer. There's no wrong answer. I'm just showing you examples that human beings are not all the same. We don't communicate the same way. We don't think the same way. We don't have the same values. There's huge differences. So when you try communicating with people, please be aware that you are not right. There's not only your way. There are other ways, and you need to try to understand why they're doing things a different way. I find this really interesting. Any other comments from you guys? I think we started to talk about this, right? Who is a student in class? What about Kwang Win Dok? Mr. Dok, can you tell me this man in the middle, man number 2, is he happy?
I think he does happy because he's smiling.
Okay, so he's happy. What about this man number 2?
I think he's not because.
Okay. Well, don't say why. Don't say why. Let's get another person in class. What about Sophia? Where are you from, Miss Kark?
Hungary.
Hungary. What do you think? This man number 2 that you can see now, is he happy or not?
Oh, that's a hard question because
Really?
the other people are looking like they are angry at him.
Wow. So
he shouldn't be happy, I think.
Okay, so you would say, no, he's not happy. And what about now? The man number 2.
Yes, maybe because of the other people are looking like they are smiling a bit.
Good.
And he's also as well.
Gwen, can you read the question at the top of that slide?
Is the middle man A happy?
Right. And has the question changed?
No. Actually, can I answer this?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, see, I feel like he's happy in both because I mean he's smiling, and honestly, when I see the bottom one, what I think of is like in like high school classes where like there's this goofy class clown who makes everyone mad, and he's the only one smiling while everyone else is like, "Oh, shut up!" Right? That's what I thought.
Okay, you realize there's, although I feel the same thing that Gwen just said, we're talking the man in the middle. We are not talking about man number 16 or the person in pink, yellow, or green. We are talking the man in the middle. That's the sentence. I am from Canada. I am from a Western country. We are focused on individual. It's not an individual person. We're usually focused on individual details. So if the detail in the sentence is middleman, I don't care about the green, yellow, blue, or pink person. I'm only focused on that middle man. And so he looks happy. And the same here. I don't care about the green, yellow, blue, pink, because the question is middle man. But in other countries, as we just heard, they say no. So it's not right. It's not wrong. Donald Trump for sure would say, absolutely wrong. You guys don't know what you're talking about. Many people would say you guys are wrong. But because people have explained, you can't be happy if you're a human being. If there's other people around you that are very angry or somebody died or you just killed somebody, maybe he's smiling to hide his tears or something like that. Maybe he's trying to be a clown because somebody died and he's trying to make up for it. Who knows? But some countries, they clearly see this man in the middle is not happy and this man is happy because of the whole picture, because of the whole environment. And me, I don't look at the whole environment if the question just says middle. Am I right? Am I wrong? There's no right or wrong answer. It depends on where you are. It depends who you are with. I find this really interesting. I hope you guys do too. This is my favorite though. What do you eat? Let me see. Im Mingyu, do you have a very bad mother? Is your mother terrible? Does she hate you and hit you with sticks every day?
No.
So when you were 5 years old,
Yeah.
what did your mother say to you at breakfast time?
Nothing. No. Oh.
Oh, okay, she doesn't talk to you. Okay. My mother talked to me, usually yelling at me to clean my shoes and things like that. But what did she give you for breakfast?
Menu of food like meat and something else. And she told me eat many food to grow up. Yeah.
Okay. Did she give you all of the food prepared? Or did she just tell you, go to the kitchen and get food yourself?
No. She prepared it.
Okay. Sophia from Hungary, is that right?
Yes.
Did your mother tell you just go get your own food in the kitchen? Or did your mother prepare food for you?
When I was 5 years old,
Sure.
she prepared.
Okay. What about Gwen?
Well, I can't really remember when I was 5 years old, but
let's say 10 years old then.
10? Okay, well, my family doesn't eat much breakfast, but when we do, we eat bacon and eggs and stuff. So my parents always prepared it.
Okay. What about Alina?
I got bread for breakfast, and we have all the jam and butter and stuff on the table, and then we prepared it ourselves.
So your mother just told you, go get breakfast, and you did it yourself?
No, we normally have, sort of. We normally have on the table, all the bread and everything, and then it's a buffet.
Right, it's in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So you go and you make your own food.
Sort of, yeah.
Okay. And you're from Germany again? Is that right?
Yeah.
And Gwen, which country were you from again, Gwen?
I'm from America.
The States. Okay.
Yeah.
What about Jules? Did I hear Jules? You're from France?
Yep, I'm from France.
And
so
when you were 5 or 10?
Sorry?
When you were a young child, did your mother give you food or just tell you to go get it?
For my breakfast, I would prepare it myself. I would eat cereals with milk, and that's for the breakfast. But every other meal, she would prepare it for me and my brother.
Okay. Won Ki-hwan, what about you? Let's get back to another Korean. Did your mother make food for you, or did you go get food yourself?
Excuse me, just called Wang Hwan.
Yes.
First of all, I'm a Chinese. Yeah, it's my first day to have the class. Yeah.
Okay.
When I was 5 years old, my mom would always just prepare some breakfast for me. Some like a bottle of milk or an egg or some delicious bread. Yeah.
So your mother would prepare the food for you.
Yeah.
Let's get two more people. Rika and Samaj, can you tell us about your family? Which countries are you from, and how did your mothers give you food when you're 10 years old?
Yeah, so I was from Finland, and well, my parents were working pretty much my whole childhood, so we made our breakfast ourselves.
Okay. And Samaj?
And I'm American, and my mom would prepare breakfast for me before she would go to work.
Really? When you were 10 years old? So there's two Americans talking about your mom would always, every day, prepare breakfast or bacon and eggs.
When I was young, yes, but as I got older, not so much.
Let me try to guess a little bit of the difference. Do you guys not have many brothers and sisters? Are you guys only one or two kids in the family?
Yeah, I have one older sister. That's all.
Okay. And Gwen?
Well, for me, I only have one older sister too, but my family hardly ever eats breakfast. So I'm sure if we ate breakfast more often, then it would be like, yeah, get it yourself.
Yeah, me too.
We're not a breakfast eater family.
The reason this video that we're talking about is trying to show how cultures are different. People are different. It's not good, it's not bad, it's just different. And I assumed, even with my PhD in this area, I assumed Americans are probably the same as my family. And my family, my mom just said, hurry up, we're going, the bus is coming soon. Go get your breakfast. She'd just tell me I had to get it, or I would do anything. If we had a special occasion or many people visiting, then yes, many people would cook and we would eat together. But she would just tell me, go to the kitchen and get my own food. And so I know there's a choice of cereals. I had to open the cupboard, get the cereal box out, open the fridge, get the milk out, get a bowl, pour it together and eat that myself and try to clean it afterwards. If I was good that day, usually I didn't clean it. That was just normal for almost everybody, I thought, in Canada, except, I had some Sri Lankan families, and I know the Korean people next, they usually had bigger family breakfasts where the mother was cooking things. But many of the Canadian families I knew, the children had to do it on their own. They had to take care of themselves as soon as possible. When I was 15 years old, I started university. And my parents told me when I was 15 years old, Sean, how are you? And that's a strange question for my mom and dad. And I said, okay. Do you have any sexual diseases? Oh, no, I don't. Then, good, because when you start university next week, you're going to be cut off, right? No more money, no more, not another dime from the family. And I was like, wow, they're making me from a baby independent so I can take care of myself. It's not good or bad, it's just different. I assume many people in the United States were the same. But we just heard two Americans, they had bigger breakfasts.
Can I add to that, please, for 1 second?
Sure.
I feel like it kind of depends. It's like when I was younger, like my mom would prepare food, but for the most part, after I finished like elementary school, like 10 years old, after that, it was kind of like, oh, if you want breakfast, go in the kitchen and get something. Because a lot of the times for me, by the time I woke up for school, my mom was already gone. So.
Okay, good. So she was assuming you're more of an adult at 10 years old and you can take care of yourself at 10. You should start to take care of yourself at 10. I think when I was still in diapers, my parents were telling me to take care of myself because we had 5 kids in the family, a family of 7. So maybe Saturday, Sunday, we'd have bigger pancakes or bacon and eggs. But on a regular school day, we had to run down, make our own fruit or milk or juice or cereal on our own, and then go to get the bus. Mom didn't deal with that stuff. It's not right, it's not wrong, it's different. The research also shows that many Asian families don't do that. So what I'm saying is the Canadian mother was thinking it's best for their children if the Canadian mother helps the children learn to take care of themselves. So the Canadian mother learns or teaches the child to be independent. That's good, that's love. But in Korea, for example, or I think the same in China, the mother takes care of all of the food and the cleaning and those details because they want the child to just focus on studying and learning. After you learn a lot, then you can take care of yourself. Versus my mother just thought life was nonstop learning. You need to learn immediately as soon as you can walk or crawl to start taking care of yourself. So I love this example. Any other comments from you guys? Is this interesting to you?
I think it's quite true. For example, I grew up in Vietnam, and although I'm not come from a very good family, and my family has 4 siblings as well, but my mother always tried to wake up early and make breakfast for all of us. So I think it's like not really completely exactly for everyone, but it's quite true.
Great. So I hope you guys can go through and experience more of these details. What about this? Like next class, we'll talk about this. What do you see? Depends on where you're from. How do you study? Depends on where you're from. What is good studying? Depends on what you're from. What is a diligent student? What is a good student? It depends on what you're from. How many minutes do you study? Depends on where you're from. And what they're saying is, in United States, a regular student, like these 2 students, generally study 302,400 minutes in the 4 years of high school. And similarly, in China, 4 years of high school, those same students here, they study 583,200 minutes. India is more in the middle, and Korea and China are very, very similar. So obviously they study a lot more minutes in China and Korea than the US and Canadian students. What's even more interesting is they're talking about what they are studying when they're abroad. In China or in Korea, they're usually in a classroom and they're studying books. They're memorizing things. Did you ever hear, Maria, where are you from?
Mexico.
Have you ever heard of a teacher telling students to memorize a complete dictionary? Or have you ever heard of a student memorizing a dictionary? Like if I hope...
No, a dictionary, no. But when I was learning English, they made us learn the words and like almost like memorizing the dictionary. But that was learning another language, not just like normal classes.
Well, okay, there's a difference, in my opinion, between students learning a lot, many pages of homework, versus a dictionary. Usually it's like 300 to 1,000 pages. And each page is hundreds or thousands of words. When I found out that several Korean students, maybe not today in 2021, but in 1990s and the 2000s, many students memorized the entire dictionary of several different languages, of Chinese for sure, and English. So, wow, that's shocking. So the Chinese, the Korean way is like that, versus you see this picture. I apologize, it's not very good. It's just taken from the video. Americans, some of the classes are running. Some of the classes are swimming. Some of the classes are cheerleading, which we see here. So you go to school in China, you study math, physics, chemistry, or sciences. You go to school I had a scholarship, and I won a scholarship to a pretty good school in the United States. And I was surprised I was allowed to get university credit for scuba diving, for swimming, for skiing. I was like, oh my God, this is a holiday. You know, and in Canada, it's still a joke. In Korea, in China, in India, it's much, much different. So be aware of that. When you are thinking about your global future, be aware of that. Which country should grow faster if one country's kids are focused on playing basketball and cheerleading, but the other country only focuses on maths and engineering or sciences? Usually, maths, engineering, sciences develop much, much faster. So that's part of why these other countries are growing faster.
May I like say something? Because like this all is nice, but it sounds like an oversimplification of things. Like for me, because it is like one side is like having more the fun side and being more, maybe just enjoy your lifestyle, enjoy your youth or whatever, just like develop different skills, maybe not useful for the future, but like having a lot of social interaction also, like you said, with swimming, scuba diving, you normally do it in a team, or like volleyball, whatever, like sports in general, especially like in the US where they have a lot of like sports, with this sports scholarship as well, like attached to universities, which we don't, like coming from a German university, you don't have that often, like for example a scholarship just because you're good at a certain sport. But
okay. So,
but seeing this like seeing on the one side like engineering and stuff, and on the other side the more social aspect, I think like both mixed up would be like an ideal way. Because also in Germany we have like certain things. If you study certain things in Germany, you're still like on the side of like learning things, just like memorizing a lot of things. Speaking of like, for example, medicine or psychology. So you study a lot, you're learning a lot, you're learning it by heart, and then possibly in the future you will need it. So but I think like a good mixture of it is key. I wouldn't say like one is better than the other. One is just like, it is different, but it's not necessarily better.
It's good to say one is not better than the other. And what I am trying to point out is absolutely, there's not a good and bad with culture. There's just differences. So when you are trying to focus on cross-cultural communications, you need to understand that other person. What is their value? What is their way of doing things? And I'm definitely not saying that the Canadian style is better or the American style better or any style is better. There are many surveys. There's the United Nations PISA surveys that studies high school students around the world, and they've identified that Finland usually has the highest marks, and I believe those students can walk in and out of classes anytime, and the classes are free. They usually focus on not forcing the students to do certain things. They're just at a pretty high level. However, in China, in India, the teachers are usually more forcing the students. You have to learn this. But, you know, 1 billion people in India, 1 billion people in China, they say that's the best. They're growing much faster than Finland. They're growing much faster than Canada. Who's to know what's good or bad? Watching these videos, I've only shown you images of the videos to try to excite you, to try to watch more about it so we can talk about it more next class. I believe we're basically finished this class for today. This is showing you more details. If you click on this link, you can actually watch this video, 2 million minutes. I have included also the video links down here at the bottom, and you can see them on several different slides. This link here shows the whole amount. This video is part of the East-West video. If you open these PPT and you look at the bottom, first of all, you can see these are describing, here's video 1, here's video 2, here's the 2 million minutes, the educational video, and it's starting to describe where these details are, like the balloon information, the guy number 2 information, the panda banana, the elephant in the background, the flower. We haven't even talked about half of these interesting examples, but I encourage you to watch these videos so we can talk about them more next class. There's more we need to get into. We will talk about more. We've already understood the basics of the definition. Remember that ethnocentrism is when you understand your culture and you say anything else that's not your way is not obvious or not good or not ideal. If you're truly a global person with cross-cultural communication, you will be able to identify your way is your way and then say, I have understood the other way is like this. Is this what you experienced? And then try to understand why. Invest yourself in understanding why other people, sometimes billions of people, do it a different way. It's been going on for a long, long time, arguing what is the best education. Some people say the Japanese have the best education because they don't have any tests for young children. They just tell kids to go and play while they're learning to try to stimulate interest in learning. If you do have a lot of tests, then especially in Canada, for example, if you fail a test, maybe you're going to get punished or grounded. And so maybe having tests is a bad thing for young children. We don't know. We're starting to research and figure that stuff out. So there's lots of details. Try to understand the other cultures. Try to learn more about them. Learn what is accepted. That's cultural intelligence. It involves linguistic intelligence, spatial intelligence, interpersonal intelligence, intrapersonal intelligence. And so when we're talking about the sports, for example, that idea of people swimming or people playing basketball together, people playing cheerleaders together, I initially laughed, but I can clearly tell you that my personal skills are not very good. I am very focused on management and business, and I know how to do that, but I hire other people that can communicate better when we need to do more communications with people. But if you are in a team, if your school teaches you team sports, you naturally learn to communicate with other people better. And so there's a lot of research that shows teaching swimming, teaching sports in school is better than teaching math, because you can know the whole dictionary or math book, but if you don't know how to work with other people, you're not going to be successful. You have to be able to work with other people. I think that's really interesting. I'm not saying it's good or bad. There's just different things. So class is different. We've gone through almost all of the aspects of the chapter 1. Next class, I will be getting into the week 2 topics. There's some videos that you can watch more for the first topic, but we've already covered most of the details.